Call us to today's business. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ozzy Gonzalez, TriMet Board President, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the TriMet Board of Directors meeting for May 22nd, 2024. We are gathered here today at the Portland campus of the University of Oregon in Old Town, Portland for today's board meeting. And we are also live streaming on YouTube, whether in person or online. Good morning, all, and thank you for joining us today. Except for Director Lewis, all other board members are present for this meeting in person or online. And so thank you once again to the public, to the staff, and to my fellow board members for joining us today. As is customary, we will begin today's board meeting with the public forum. Members of the public who wish to provide testimony but could not be here in person may also join us virtually. After we have heard from those who are present and have signed up to testify, we will move to those that have joined us virtually and announce their interest in testifying. Now, for all of those of you that are offering testimony today, I'd like to ask you to please direct your comments to TriMet and our transit-related services rather than any other topics. We also ask that you please contain your comments to the allotted 3-minute timeline we have. If you are unable to limit your comments to 3 minutes, you also have the opportunity to provide additional comments to us in writing. You can submit them in person if you are here today. You are also welcome to email TriMet and submit your comments via our TriMet email address. If you do not have that TriMet email address, we have staff available here today to help you with that. And I'll direct you to our staff to my right that are helping us coordinate today's meeting if you do need to submit some written comments. Now, I would like now to call up to the testimony table 2 people at a time. And I see we have 2 individuals that have signed up to testify in person today. So I will ask you both to come on up and provide your testimony in the order that I've named. And when you do come up, just so you know, the microphone has a button, and we will make sure that it's on and you can begin your testimony. I'd like to now invite to the testimony table Doug Allen and Abby Griffiths. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. And if you could please make sure microphones are on, and Doug, I'll go ahead and if the button is green, I think it should be on.
It doesn't sound. Sorry, I have to be colorblind.
It's okay. We'll assess. Pardon me.
There. That sounds good.
Thank you so much, Gwen.
President Gonzalez and directors, my name is Doug Allen. I'm here today in my role as the Portland Area Vice President of AORTA, Association of Oregon Rail and Transit Advocates. I and a number of other AORTA members were down at our office in Union Station yesterday participating in a symposium put on by Representative Nancy Nathanson of the Eugene area and Senator Chris Gorsuch, who are the organizers of what they call the Rail Caucus at the legislature. And there were a number of other legislators involved, and there were representatives from Union Pacific, BNSF, Oregon Rail Users League, and ODOT. And the main topic was how to improve rail service, passenger rail service, freight rail service, and funding for it, looking forward to the 2025 legislative session. And so I just want TriMet, you directors, and everybody else to be there fighting for transit funding in the 2025 legislature. There's good news. The Cascades Amtrak service ridership is way above pre-pandemic levels. It's at record high levels. And that shows that good, safe service is still attractive to the public. And we'd like to see TriMet's ridership surge back forward to above pre-pandemic levels. And then I just want to mention one other topic. As I was leaving, I got on at the former Greyhound Depot Max station, which is a very disgusting place right now. The Greyhound Depot was part of a City of Portland plan for a transportation center, which involved Union Station, the Greyhound Depot, and other intercity bus terminals. I think it would be appropriate for TriMet to join up with ODOT and Metro and the City of Portland to take the lead to restore this area as a transportation center. There's a dire need for good intercity bus terminal. We've been losing them all across the country. The Portland terminal was built with considerable public subsidy, including from TriMet, Multnomah County, and the City of Portland. And it was immediately sold to investors by Greyhound and leased back by Greyhound. And we need to restore that and make this a good livable area. And so I would encourage you to take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Abby Griffiths, welcome.
Awesome. Am I on the speaker?
I believe so.
I think so. Hi, everyone. I'm here today to talk about my incident last week. I was attacked. My boyfriend and I were taking bus 75 on Lombard and Interstate. And last Wednesday was really nice day, so we wanted to have fun and enjoy sunny, nice day, and we took a bus and we were attacked at the bus stop. My boyfriend and I are both blind. We were waiting for bus 75, like maybe 8 to 9 minutes at bus stop, and we didn't know if there's anyone trying to attack us at that time. But when bus came, this guy showed up, I don't know where, because like I said, we are blind. We can't see if he was getting out of bus or if he was waiting for bus with us. So when my boyfriend about to get on the bus, I was behind him. This guy came and put my boyfriend on a headlock and pushing him down to get him down to the ground so he can hit him. And he pushed me against the bus, and I twisted my left knee, and I had a hard time walking. I ended up in the emergency room last Wednesday night for my knee. And that was first fight before we get on the bus. This guy fight with my boyfriend at least like 3 minutes in front of the bus, and people helped them break off, and my boyfriend got on the bus to avoid the violence, and the guy followed him on the bus, and second time attacking. I was so confused because if we have somebody violent at the bus stop and they already beating people up outside, why they allowed to get on the bus? Why TriMet didn't have some safety plan for people who already been attacked, trying to get away from attacker following that person on the bus and beating up people on the bus second time. I know that bus drivers there and like safety response teams there, and none of them stopped a guy from getting on the bus, and also guy literally left, and the police didn't come until 30 minutes maybe, and they still haven't found the guy. And what is safety and what is training for people not to like protect people like me, disabled people or non-disabled people? We don't want to be on the buses and trains like people just watching me getting attacked. Thank you so much.
Abby, I'm sorry to hear about that incident. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. If we haven't already done so, someone will be in touch.
Thank you.
Okay.
President Gonzalez, if I can have a word. Andrew Wilson is going to immediately go talk with her. I want to say that this has been brought to my attention, and this is something that we are working on currently to understand what happened and bring people to justice. So we'll give an update on this here as soon as we get it.
Thank you, General Manager DeSue.
Can I say something? Yeah. Abby, thank you for sharing your story, and I'm so sorry that that happened to you. And I also want to make sure, because we have the number, and I'm hoping Andrew can say it, because Abby, particularly given your role in the community, we want to make sure you know this number and can share this number with people. If an incident happens on a TriMet facility, there's a number to text or call for help to come immediately. 503-238-RIDE. So I'm just going to say that again for everyone, 503-238-RIDE. And Abby, we would love to work with you to see how we can help distribute that number more broadly to folks to make sure that they know that's an option for them.
Thank you for that, Director Frisbee. And next, I'd like to move us to the virtual public forum. We have some folks that have signed up to provide testimony online. And at this time, I'd like to invite them to come forward and provide their testimony. And let me look for the names of those testifying. Do we have names? Thank you. First, I'd like to invite Joe Kunzler, pardon me if I've mispronounced your name, to please provide your testimony. Joe, at this time, you could unmute your microphone. Okay. I'm being informed that we do not have Joe logged in at this time, so we'll come back to you, Joe, to see if we're able to receive your testimony this morning. I'd like to at this time invite Anita Davidson to unmute your mic and provide your testimony.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, directors, my name is Anita Davidson. I'm a downtown condominium owner who can use the 4:20 a.m. max as an alarm clock right out my window. I oppose a resolution before you today, number 240533, as it is written, which seeks to provide $2 million per year to Portland Mall Management, Inc., which I'll call PMMI, for cleaning and security services along the downtown transit mall. Now, I'm pretty sure that no one has ever raised concerns about a contract designed to keep a transit clean and safe. But before you discount my concerns, recognize the complexity of what I shared today and the potential that it is true. It takes the free time of a retiree and the skills of a former investigator to piece together something like this. I am both, plus have an expectation that our public entities will spend public funds wisely and ethically. I oppose this resolution for two reasons. First, there are strong and legitimate indicators that the services it is designed to secure are not fully rendered. This is because the TriMet services, if counted in work shifts and work hours, potentially duplicate many of the same services paid for by ratepayers of the Downtown Clean and Safe Enhanced Service District, which I'll call an ESD. I'm a ratepayer in that and a taxpayer into city services and of course the TriMet. Today's resolution appears to be a status quo of existing arrangements, which are these. TriMet contracts with PMMI. PMMI then contracts with Portland Metro Chamber, which we also know as the Portland Business Alliance. The Chamber then uses operations staff of Downtown Clean and Safe, who are Chamber employees, to oversee the cleaning and security vendors TriMet funds through PMMI. Now separately, Metro Chamber, on behalf of the Downtown Clean and Safe ESD, hires two vendors for about $5.5 million per year to provide cleaning and security, we've heard that before, using business license fees collected for the Downtown Clean and Safe ESD. Those two vendors are the same ones PMMI agrees to hire for TriMet. So what actually happens? Clean and Safe Operations sends janitorial workers and security personnel from its two vendors all across downtown, including all along the transit lines. The cleaning vendor even calls two of its 6 routes, Transit Mall and Max Loop, and sends those two cleaners a few blocks outside the ESD boundaries to clean the transit areas. Transit Mall security is handled in a similar way as far as I can see. Security personnel funded by the ESD ratepayers have regular walking beats and are dispatched on demand all across downtown, including on transit-related calls. I started asking questions about PMMI services in June 2022. To date, no one has answered the following question to disprove my observations or produce any source data, like work records of the vendors, to answer this. How do the cleaning and security services funded by the Downtown Clean and Safe ESD, the ratepayers, differ from those funded by PMMI, who are taxpayers, or vice versa, whichever you think comes first? The second reason I oppose this resolution before you today is the appearance of a quid pro quo. The background section of the resolution itself says this, I'll quote, PMMI funding is provided primarily by TriMet, as well as by cash contributions from the Downtown Metro Chamber Clean and Safe program, end quote. And a cash contribution of $81,678 from Clean and Safe Inc. is in a recent PMMI draft budget associated with this resolution. Is this a quid pro quo and possibly unethical? I've already described the complex relationships involved. Are Metro Chamber and or Clean and Safe Inc. both beneficiaries of the TriMet funding?
Anita,
Okay, I'll wrap it up.
thank you, please. And I want to acknowledge we did
I'm
receive
sorry, I
your
didn't
written
see-
testimony.
Okay, I'm at 3 minutes. All right, okay. Sorry, I was really close to the end anyway. Thank you so much for listening and for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony and for submitting a written testimony. We will be discussing this resolution a little bit further in the agenda, and we do have your testimony with us as part of the packet.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to move to our other virtual testimony. Did we have Joe log in? So we do not have a testimony from Joe Kunzler. I understand that Joe did sign up to testify. If there is a written testimony, Joe, we'd certainly be open to receiving that from you through the email. With that, I believe we do not have any other virtual testimonies at this time. No, we do not. I'm getting confirmation. With no other members of the public signed up to testify in person or virtually at this time, I will now close the public forum and open today's business meeting. Let's start with board reports. I would like to first start with the Committee on Accessible Transportation and ask Director Edwards to provide a report of its recent meeting. Director Edwards, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On Wednesday, May 15th, the CAT had a business meeting. Dave Daly provided a recap of the CAT's involvement and attendance at the APTA Mobility Conference. Dave also shared the update from the CAT Fixed Route Subcommittee, focusing on follow-up regarding the Skidmore Fountain closure and the FX BRT planning efforts. CAT is keen on learning the planned stop consolidation on the 82nd Avenue corridor before any decisions are made. Nominations for CAT Executive Committee positions of Vice Chair and Member at Large were forwarded. Claudia Robertson was reelected as Vice Chair, and Anna Diana Johnson was reelected to the Member at Large position. Alex Page from TriMet Service Planning and Delivery presented a plan for the Max Night Bus Service efforts. This plan allows more overnight maintenance and therefore better reliability for riders, safety, and state of good repair. He noted that TriMet is second to Denver in the shortest maintenance window, predicating the need for additional time to maintain the alignment. Questions from CAT included the plan for making courtesy stops on the night bus routes, plan for lead time for communicating these changes with the public. Outreach teams have been riding the trains at midnight to ensure they reach the people who are riding. Wayfinding is difficult, particularly late at night. It would be helpful to have a web page that indicates how to make connections if you need to transfer. Lighting for new stops, time transfers with overlap to ensure riders have time to make transfers. Andrew Wilson, Executive Director of Safety and Security, provided an overall update on safety and security initiatives for the year, and the committee had questions on the blue light phones. Functional differences between the Public Safety Office and the Security Operations Center, the need for full-time staff at platforms to monitor elevator access, how security staff are trained to humanely address non-destination riders on the system, and ongoing unreported smoke fumes on trains. Meeting was adjourned at 11:33.
Thank you, Director Edwards, for your report. Fellow board members, do you have any questions or comments for Director Edwards about the CAT report? Director Frisbee, is that a question? The hand raised? No, that's not. Thank you. Seeing no questions or comments, thank you, Director Edwards, for that report. I appreciate it. Next, I'd like to move us to the report from the most recent meeting from the Metro Policy Advisory Committee, otherwise known as MPAC, and I'll invite Director Kim to provide that report. Director Kim?
Thank you. At the April MPAC meeting, Metro staff provided a recap of the recent state legislative session to help our members better understand legislation that affects land use and housing passed by the legislature during the recent session in Salem. Metro Housing Department staff also joined us to discuss their department, which was established to achieve the goal set by both the voter-approved 2018 Metro Affordable Housing Bond and the 2020 Supportive Housing Services Measure. This group has been expanding over the last fiscal year to support regional planning, oversight, and accountability for these programs. They're focusing hundreds of millions of dollars on housing in our region. As of December 2023, these funds have helped place 6,750 folks in housing, prevented 20,000 evictions, and supported 970 shelter beds. And finally, Metro presented the draft Regional Housing Needs Analysis, which estimates the amount of future housing needed in our region. And all of this is part of AMPAC's continued preparation to advise the Metro Council on its regional growth management decision in late 2023-4. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kim. Does anyone on the board wish to make a comment or raise a question to Director Kim? I see none. And thank you. And I'm not checking with Director Kellogg. Is he online? Okay. I'm seeing none. I'm going to move us forward. Thank you, Director Kim, for that report. Next, I'd like to provide a report on this morning's Finance and Audit Committee meeting. In lieu of Director Lewis's absence, I will happily provide the report on today's meeting. We had a Finance and Audit Committee meeting this morning just before today's board meeting. And on today's agenda, we received an update on the reconciliations proposed for the adopted budget. Our finance team provided some updated figures on reconciling that budget. It's a standard step in the budgetary process. And now with those updated numbers, we've been able to see how the latest round of the STIF allocations have been able to impact. We've been able to update around the sunsetting of the federal emergency dollars and the utilization of some STIF funds that were previously unanticipated. We also spoke about TriMet's defined contributions plans. We received an update on some proposed updates to the defined contribution plans that are currently in place for some of our staff positions. And we spoke about the latest in the working and wage negotiation. As my fellow board members may be aware, we are in the process of negotiating the updated working and wage agreement with the ATU, and we received an update from our staff on that process. And we had a fantastic conversation, and it was a relatively productive meeting. This concludes my report, my ad hoc report. Any questions or comments about today's Finance and Audit Committee meeting? Okay. Hearing none or seeing none, thank you very much. I'd like to move us now to our General Manager for his monthly report. General Manager DeSue. The floor is yours.
Good morning, President Gonzalez, board members, public, elected officials that are here, our community partners. Thank you all for being here, and all of TriMet's employees and the public. In my report this morning, I will share timely information with you on introducing to you 2 new TriMet leaders. We'll talk about the April ridership. We will talk about hiring efforts, including new opportunity to come on board as a MAX operator. We are implementing more bus service improvements from our Forward Together program. So starting in a little more than a week, so I'll let you know what to expect. We'll update you on our 2024 Summer Pass program for students. And then we're going to take a look back at the APTA Mobility Conference and our International Bus Rodeo and really thank all of our employees who helped make it happen. So first I want to introduce two leaders. So Eric Dement, will you please stand up for a moment? Board, I just want to introduce you to Eric Dement. He was selected as the Vision 2030 Senior Program Manager. And I know Eric will have great conversations with all of you. Just wanted you to kind of familiarize yourself with him. And Eric, welcome to the team. Also would like to, Cal Watley, if you could stand up, please. Cal is our Enterprise Zero Emissions Senior Director. So he'll be heading our programs up as we transition our entire fleet to zero emissions by 2040. Cal, welcome to the team. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started with our April ridership. TriMet provided 5.5 million rides in April. Our weekly boardings are nearly 11% over last year increase, and that represented an additional 126,000 new rides for the month of April that was taken each week. Our overall weekly ridership for April was about 68% of pre-pandemic, and we are currently working on our Vision 2030 plan, especially in the ridership pillar to get people back on the system. Next, I'd like to turn over to hiring. I have updates on several fronts. Last month, for the first time in our history, TriMet began accepting applications for the position of MAX operator directly from the public. This significant change was made in partnership and agreement with the ATU Local 757. So I want to thank Shirley Block and her team. This is one of the innovations that we've adopted to help restore our operator ranks so that we can provide the reliable service that our riders want now and expand service for the future. Since the recruitment opened last month, TriMet has received 500 external applications, 500 for the MAX operator position. And some of these applications came to us last week during our second annual community hiring event that was held in partnership with Raymore Construction. Raymore brings in additional services for job seekers as well. They offer resume development and really help bring down barriers to employment, such as how to deal with a criminal history. Wow. We saw nearly 150 prospective employees that came through the DoubleTree at Lloyd Center last Wednesday, and we were able to make 24 conditional job offers to service workers on the spot. This particular hiring event had a focus on hiring service workers, many of whom are also coming to join our clean team as we move forward. And we're looking forward to working with these prospective employees, onboarding them, and really jumping them into training as soon as possible. Regarding our bus operator recruitment, it continues to be strong. We are consistently averaging about 80 applications each week for that role. TriMet has received more than 6,700 applications so far this year. So from January up until now, for all of our open positions. And that's an increase of nearly 44% over this same time last year. And I want to really give a shout out to Kim Sewell and her team on the recruitment. They have done just tremendous work there to get people there, and our training division as well to get people onboarded and here ready to take on some of these jobs. Also, it appears that, you know, when you talk about 6,700 applications in a 5-month period of time, it certainly appear that the word is out, and that TriMet is a really great place to work and serve our community. So just want to thank everybody for that. We need more people to provide more service. And I know that each one of you tell that story to everyone you talk with. Our next package of bus service improvements began Sunday, June 2nd. Riders will enjoy better service on several existing frequent service lines. Our lines 6, 8, 14, 15, we are adding buses so that they will arrive every 15 minutes or better, starting early in the day and going later into the evening. On line 21, we are also adding a morning trip that's going to really help workers reach employers such as Amazon there. So again, it's all about connecting people with opportunities. And want to thank Alan and his team for really making those major schedule adjustments on the several lines to really help keep people and buses on time as we move forward. We're encouraging all of our customers and our passengers to go to TriMet.org and really plan your trip for June 2nd or later to see how these changes might affect you the next time that you ride. This service change is small in comparison with the major service updates that are coming in August. That's when we will officially open a better red and roll out even more service for our Forward Together bus improvements and begin replacing the late night MAG service with a network of with a new bus network. And that's really going to increase time for us to be able to provide maintenance on our system. Transitioning, we're going to bring back our summer passes for 2024, and we're going to bring up to 30,000 students who live within the service district in Multnomah County, Washington County, and Clackamas County. They can get a pass. It's good for rides on bus, MAX, and our Portland Streetcar from June 1st through August 31st. And this is TriMet's third year to offer this program, and we're really proud to expand to include high school students as well as graduating middle schoolers. We're heading into the 9th grade and really adult students as well who are finishing up high school with a GED. So schools are handing these passes out to students now, and students can really start tapping those passes to ride starting June 1st. These passes will really help students reach summer jobs, sports, and other activities and keep them connected during the summer months. Lastly, this morning, the dust has finally settled on the 2024 International Bus Rodeo and Mobility Conference. I know Gwen is going to pass out hats to all of you as we talk about this here with the rodeo. We held this conference here in Portland about a month ago, and the two events broke the APTA attendance records. All told, there were more than 2,000 plus transit professionals, and then another 1,000 consultants and different people that was offering services from across the continent that came to Portland. And I want to be really candid that the APTA leadership, who I sit on their board, they were not sure about what was going to take place here in Portland, whether people were going to come here. And you all know that TriMet is a very highly respected transit agency, but given the national press about Portland over the past few years, there was a lot of doubt that was there from the leadership. There were people that also thought that we were not up to the challenge. Well, I don't need to tell you, but we showed them, just to let you know that. So, in fact, we made some big fans, and we're going to play this video for you so that you can take a look at it.
I really love Portland. It's got a wonderful personality.
I really like the system here, and I've been on and off the MAX at least a dozen times since I've been here.
I came with primarily for the rodeo. Rodeo was very challenging, it was very good. As a driver out there, I had a blast. I thought the course was set up amazing. and it was very challenging, but it was also incredibly fun, and I loved the weather out there. Cool, rainy, I loved it.
My favorite part was actually seeing the operators drive. There's a lot of teams here, the best of the best. We bring the best of the best, and hopefully we're going to do good.
Outstanding support, and what I mean by that is the shuttle service was fantastic. Being supported with food and beverages was well organized. And then the rest of the conference, honestly, I have no complaints. It was such a pleasure to just interact with people, meet people, see faces I haven't seen for a while. So I'm just really happy with the whole event.
Conference was great. A lot of wonderful sessions. The committee meetings went really well. Learned a lot about the bus operations, what bus is doing, some of the challenges, and the things that need to be done to ensure that it's sustainable in the future.
The entertainment was very, very good. Definitely a fun group. I got a picture with them too.
A lot of knowledge was spread around and gained from everybody, and that was really nice to have. I love the camaraderie with everybody. Everybody was incredibly nice. I love the area out here. I'm really glad that they had it here in Portland.
It took months and months of hard work across every division in our agency. And this morning, as I was riding in on the train, I thought about words that brought us all together. It was the connectedness of TriMet over the last 12 months to prepare for this, the resilience with all of our leaders. And really, it brought us together. It was a pursuit of excellence as an organization here. So Team TriMet, you really made us so proud. And I want to just speak to you directly on that and let you know. We've put events on that left our transit industry colleagues informed and inspired here. And also apt to crown new bus rodeo champions, new maintenance champions for the first time since the pandemic started. And we saw a new class of APTA industry leaders that was here as well, including one of our own who graduated from the Emerging Leaders Program. It was absolutely an unforgettable week, and I can't tell you, I'm so proud of the 3,300 plus world-class employees here at TriMet. So bravo to all of them, and President Gonzalez, that concludes my report for this morning.
Bravo indeed. Thank you very much, General Manager Dessou. Fellow board members, any comments or questions for General Manager Dessou in his report? Yes, please, Director Frisbee.
I want to echo the congratulations and kudos to everyone on APTA Mobility. We went out to the rodeo on Sunday. Thank you. And was a delight, although I do think my kid's favorite opportunity was the fact that he got to swing on the bars on the demo bus, which he does not get to do when we ride the bus. So real highlight there. But I think Portland put its best face forward. I love that. I thought we did a great job presenting as a cohesive unit with all of our partners around the region. And I thought that was great. And I also hope everyone, I felt like a few of this, I didn't get to attend as many sessions as I wanted, but such a great learning opportunity. Also, not just for us to talk about what we're doing, but to learn from our partners across the country, and some really incredible work happening everywhere as everyone figures out how we help make transit a part of our recovery, our nationwide recovery from the pandemic. So thanks to everyone on that. I had one question around the summer passes. As we look up to expand distribution, are any of the schools having particular challenges with distribution? Are there ways that we can help support that? And then for kids who have maybe dropped out or aren't participating in their sort of K through 12 experience, do we have other ways of reaching them?
No, I appreciate it. John, can you come up? I know that you've been front and center, you and JC. You guys have been talking with the groups. If you guys both can come up.
So I'm phoning a friend, Lonnie Nielsen, who is our Director of Marketing and Business Development and our fair programs. So to your first question, Director Frisbee, we just started distributing 30,000 passes. So more to come on the first part of your question. The second part of your question was, for those people who have dropped out, do they still have access to the pass? And what was the last part?
Yeah, I'm mostly thinking, I know sometimes students who aren't housed have trouble accessing a lot of these services, or students who are kind of on the edge and maybe not super plugged into their school's benefits, if there are ways we can help reach them.
Well, we do advertise that the passes are available and they can pick them up their school all the way through, I believe, almost through early part of July. So even as long as the schools are still open, they can still go. I know that there was conversation from the program manager to have outreach with some of the community organizations to make sure that they were aware, especially if they're youth oriented. So those are two ways we're making sure they're out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fellow board members, comments, questions? I won't miss the opportunity then to just tirar unas flores, throw around a couple of flowers of gratitude. First of all, it didn't get lost on me that in this jobs campaign that we just had, a very fantastic partner stepped forward. Raymore Construction, thank you so much for being a part of that and showing up in a way that you don't have to, but clearly shows your commitment to community. I think that those are the things that really set the standard for what partnership means in today's supply chain. So thank you for that. And of course, I couldn't resist the opportunity to express my gratitude to APTA for selecting Portland and having that faith in coming over to see us. It was, I think, a combination of curiosity to see us after so many years, as well as faith. But of course, as General Manager Dessou pointed out, the staff and the region really showed up for this. And so thank you to everyone on staff that worked feverishly to put this together, to bring a meaningful experience and all of the tours to our visitors. And as Director Frisbee pointed out, to the region's partners. I mean, everyone from the port, from Metro, I think it's important to recognize when good is done. And I think whether from the moment folks arrived into our city, I heard time and again how much they felt welcomed, how they saw that the region was really stepping forward to roll out the carpet and say, welcome to our region. I heard from many folks that only knew about us on textbooks and wanted to come see our system, and were very pleasantly surprised. So from the city to our streetcar partners, to Travel Portland and our IGA partners, thank you so much. I think people left with a very good impression of Portland, and I heard many times that they want to come back and shop in our stores and eat in our restaurants. So good job to everyone. And with that, I think we're concluding our general manager's report. Thank you very much for that. Now, I'd like to turn us to the consent agenda for today's meeting. Items that appear on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be approved by the board in one blanket motion, and today's consent agenda consists of one item, approving the minutes of our last meeting, April 24th, 2024. Does any director wish to have any items removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda today?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Way. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And I want to recognize, yes, Director Kellogg is not online, so I'm going to stay. We do have quorum. We're going to move forward with our board business. And I'd like to now move us to the resolutions on the regular agenda. beginning with Resolution Number 1. The first resolution before the board this morning is Resolution Number 24-05-31, adopting the fiscal year 2025 annual budget and appropriating funds. Mr. General Manager, do you have any comments on this resolution?
Thanks, President Gonzalez, members of the board. By this resolution, the board will adopt the FY 2025 budget and appropriate funds to the various TriMet divisions. The FY 2025 budget of approximately $1.8 million must be adopted before the start of the fiscal year on July 1st, 2024. Key budget investments are described on pages 3 and 4 of the board memo. Those include transit service, safety and security, capital investments, electrification, and the establishment of 2 new TriMet divisions. Inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, or IDEA, will move from the General Manager's office to its own separate division. We will also create a strategy and planning division to support strategy, business plan, strategic actions, Vision 2030, enterprise zero emissions bus conversion, our 2040 plan, and also planning for service improvements. The FY 2025 budget amount in this resolution is somewhat different from what was approved by the board at its March 27th meeting and from the estimated amounts that were found reasonable and legally compliant by the Tax Supervising and Conservation Commission, known as the TSCC, at the conclusion of its April 24th public hearing. This resolution increases the authorized FY 2025 budget expenditures by $93.6 million from the estimated amount set forth in the March 27th resolution. So I have Chief Financial Officer Nancy Young-Oliver here to provide additional detail. Nancy.
Great, thank you. So, good morning, directors.
The microphone sounds like it may not be on.
Can you hear me now?
A little
How about
better.
now? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. All right. When we first proposed the fiscal year 2025 budget to you in March, and you approved that, and then we had the TSCC hearing, of course, since a couple months have gone by, there are some changes from what we originally proposed to you. So I just want to walk through a few highlights of those. Advance, please. So it starts with fiscal 2024. Previously, we submitted to you a budget transfer which had a net effect of 0. In other words, we took funding from one line item and we moved it down to another line item for better expenditure during the fiscal year. We have had an increase in 2024 in our resources of $31.5 million. This has to do with our interest earnings have come in quite higher than what had been originally forecasted. Of course, interest earnings is very volatile. It can be up one day and down the next, but right now we're reaping the benefit of that. In addition, we've had some additional federal operating drawdowns that has also increased our resources. Also within 2024 is an increase in our requirements. And of course, when you increase your expenditures, it has a negative effect. Those increases have to do with the estimated actuals and on our M&S, our materials and services. So as we are 2 months more now into the fiscal year, we have better numbers and we have increased it. In addition, our capital program has had a few upticks from the approved budget due to updated cash flows. This has resulted in an ending fund balance increase for 2024 of $28.2 million, which of course becomes our beginning fund balance in 2025. Within 2025, we've had an increase in our resources due to 3 areas. 1, our planned use of federal formula drawdowns. As the federal stimulus funding has been utilized, we are now going to be pulling down on our federal formula dollars. In addition, we've been allowed a one-time STIF fund plan amendment for going into 2025. That's approximately $29 million. And then finally, we've updated our capital resources. As we learn more about grants that we are receiving and have been awarded, we've now updated our resources to reflect that. But our requirements have also increased, and again, when you increase those requirements, it has a negative effect on your fund balance. Those requirements include changes to our capital program for new projections and final adjustments to our operating budgets. That includes things such as staff have been hired into certain positions, and we've had some other programs added. All that results in is that our ending fund balance will increase by $72.1 million, and this is a planned increase. As we've shared with you before, that increase is necessary in order for us to set funds aside for those future years where funding is not as great and we would be looking at a financial shortfall. Advance. Some of the key changes is, of course, as already discussed by General Manager Dessou, is that we have 2 new divisions. One of those divisions is our DEI program. Instead of falling under the general managers, we've moved that out, standing on its own 2 feet as a separate division. In addition, we have our Division of Strategy and Planning. We will be adding a Chief Strategy Officer, and we've already introduced to you today some of the other new positions. In addition, our contracted services and agreements have increased, specifically in the area of accessible transportation programs, our safety and security programs, which I know you're familiar with, and also our legal services lease agreements for One Main Place with the additions, and we know we're all looking forward to that dedicated boardroom. In addition, we've moved some projects from the capital program into our M&S. When you think of capital, capital should be limited to those things that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and finally placed into operation. But those projects that have no end and will continue forever are best placed in our operating budget because they reflect ongoing maintenance over time. In addition, we've had some other operating movements. We have increased our training department within the transit system and asset support. And finally, within our capital program, while it is much lower this year for 2025 than it has been in the past, at approximately $140 million, what we've done is we've really scrutinized those capital projects, the cash flow, and really looked at what we are able to actually utilize and accomplish during the year. Advance. So you may be wondering, how does Vision 2030 fit into our budget? And it's important to understand that Vision 2030 is not just a task that we take off the shelf and we work on it a couple hours a day and then we put it back up on the shelf. But Vision 2030 is in everything that we do every day in every department from every seat. But I do want to call out a few things by pillar that we have added specifically as a result of Vision 2030. Within the community pillar, we've added approximately $19 million. This is to address new funding positions, as we've already discussed with you. For example, the new Chief Strategy and Planning Officer. But in addition, as we look at 82nd Street and the Better Bus, there's almost $15 million tied up in those 2 programs. And finally, in the community center and within public affairs, we're utilizing $3.2 million for community outreach, mitigations to populations that are low income, communications, and promotional projects. When we look at the people pillar, we've added $14.5 million. This includes significant efforts in our recruiting. Now, while we've always been recruiting, but we have had to increase our efforts to bring additional individuals in, specifically, as you've heard, bringing operators in and increasing our bus and rail operators. We have new positions focused specifically on employment and retention. We've added training positions and community outreach for our fare programs. In the area of ridership, we've added $22.2 million. This is reflected in our Forward Together, specifically in restoration of services. And then we have our Max Red Line, which is a brand new service within our Max system. And then, of course, the additional presence on the system for our safety and security efforts. Within infrastructure, we've added $37.2 million. We've already mentioned 82nd Street and the Better Bus, but we were also putting funds into expanding the Columbia bus space and looking specifically at the hydrogen fuel cell electric bus infrastructure. Of course, there's IBR, we can't forget that. We have additional FX lines and also investments in our Type 6 light rail vehicles. It's worth noting that overall, when you look at our capital program at approximately $200 million, $89 million of that is specifically to state of good repair projects. And finally, our financial pillar. Within our financial pillar, we're looking at all possible grant opportunities, and we are adding another grant writer to our team in fiscal year 2025. We will also be utilizing the STIF funding for service on the street, whether it is preservation of that street or service or expansion. We are researching new funding streams on how we can identify a new permanent continuing revenue stream. And finally, we're looking for those efficiencies within our current operating procedures and practices where we can experience continuing savings. So with that, open to any questions you might have.
So President Gonzalez, just one quick thing I want to say. Thanks, Nancy and Michael. I want to say that I recommend your approval.
Noted. Noted. Thank you. Fellow board members, comments or well, actually, we haven't moved to a resolution. There's time. Don't want to get out of order here. We'll see first if there is a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Edwards. Do we have a second to approve this resolution?
Second.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. Now, before we move to a vote, I'd like to open us up for some discussion. Any comments or questions from board members? Yes, Director Wade.
Thank you. I was just in the Finance and Audit Committee this morning, so we were able to get a preview of this. So I just appreciate Nancy and Michael and their team for bringing this back to us. I do have just a question on the $3.2 million for community outreach as a part of the community pillar. Can you explain that a little bit more? For me, it doesn't seem like that's a lot of money, given we have a $1.8 billion budget. But it could also be because we already have a really great, community involvement, engagement division team, and this is just maybe either adding extra personnel or doing additional outreach. But can you just explain what the $3.2 million will go towards to?
Yeah, so I too am going to phone a friend. I'm going to turn around and look at my counterpart, J.C. Vanetta, and ask him to come and join us.
It has to do with the totality of the overall program. So in that is also all of our just ongoing outreach, whether it's community outreach, but a lot of it also has to do with our low-income fare program, which we have really beefed up, and that's what we use a lot of STIF funds to do, is to go out there to engage community partners and to sign people up. And we're actually doing a really good job of getting more people signed up for our low-income fare program.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to clarify that this does not include adding extra staff aside from the director. There's the senior director position for 2030, correct?
Correct. The addition of the senior project manager for Vision 2030 is in a separate division.
Okay.
So this is specifically looking at the outreach that JC and team will be doing.
Thank you. And this is just a comment that I have, but it would be wonderful if, moving forward, we can continue to engage with community partners, community-based organizations, but also continue to provide staff folks who speak different languages that we know, growing in our region. I know that since I've been on the board, we've added maybe one or two different, staff folks who specifically speak another language. And I think we should continue that trend of really thinking about, who are the faces, right, behind the services and the community engagement that we're trying to increase. And do we have, do we have the right folks with the right skills and experiences to be able to communicate that information? So,
Yeah, and I'll respond to that. We've actually done really well. All of our community engagement folks speak another language other than English, and we're very proud of that. And we've been very focused as we were hiring for those positions, knowing that we are trying to do more multicultural outreach. And so what we would love to do is, while we love engaging our community partners along the way, we'll continue to do so. We also need to do a better job internally of making sure that we're speaking in languages that are part of our community. And so we've actually done a really, really good job of doing that. I would also note, if you all want to give us more money and hire more people, we're gladly take it.
yes. Thank you.
Noted. Director Frisbee.
Thank you, Nancy and Michael, for your presentation and most of all for your hard work. I hope I know most of my friends who work in budget worlds look eagerly to June 30th, and I hope you have a little bit of vacation planned at some point soon. Appreciate all this. Appreciate also really clearly you clarifying the differences between what we looked at in March and what we looked at today. That really helps, so thank you. I just had 2 general comments. I do intend to support this resolution. Thank you, General Manager. But I am long-term concerned. Well, actually, let me back up. I really support moving the maintenance type projects and state of good repair projects over to the maintenance division. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I hope that that reflects our continued commitment and sort of viewing that as ongoing work. So I appreciate that move. I am long-term concerned that if our capital projects budget will need to be larger if we are going to meet Vision 2030. I believe my opinion on this has been quite clear, but I will continue, which is that if we are going to meet our ridership goals, we have to make our system bigger, serve more people more quickly, give them faster options to get on the bus. And so I am hopeful that as we flesh out that plan, including our FX plan, and as we move to construction for 82nd, that we will see an increase in that capital projects budget, either at some point in this year, if that timing becomes necessary and things move quickly, or next year. So thank you for your work, and I will just throw that flag up there for future conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. General Manager DeSue?
Thank you so much. You and I have definitely talked. It's a top-of-mind item for me and the infrastructure pillar and our executive team. We're going to have a deep conversation about our FX plans. We're going to take a look at more frequent service that's being presented and projects just in general. How can we get stuff done a lot quicker than what we've done in the past? So it's top of mind for us.
Thank you. Any other board members? Well, what I could think to say about this is that it's great to have Mr. DeMet here today. Welcome. I'm not sure how many days you've been now on the job, but certainly looking forward to incorporating your ideas and helping weave so much of what we're talking about together. From a budgetary perspective, we're positioned great. And I think that there's a lot of interest in seeing how this work begins to unfold in a strategic way. So welcome. Yes, and I think that this is, and thank you to the staff today for helping shine a light on the reconciliation process. It's one that overall I think is moving in a positive direction for us, and it's exciting to see how we're making it through another budget cycle. With that, any other comments or questions before we move to a vote? All right. With that, I'd like to move us to a vote. All of those in favor of approving resolution number 24-05-31, please do so now by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to, okay, I hear the clap. It's big, I know, okay, great. Didn't mean to make it anticlimactic. Thank you, thank you. And I echo Director Frisbee's comment. I understand these cycles require a lot of attention as you're nearing the finish line. I do hope you get some downtime after June 30th. Thank you so much. All right. Now I'd like to move us to the next resolution. The board will now consider resolution number 24-05-32, authorizing amendment number 15 to the Intergovernmental Agreement, IGA, with the City of Portland for streetcar operations. Mr. General Manager, your comments, please.
Thanks, President Gonzalez, members of the board. Since 2012, TriMet has had a master agreement, IGA, with the City of Portland that addresses the two parties' joint policy, coordination, and decision-making concerning the Portland streetcar. Separate from the master agreement, the parties entered into a streetcar operating agreement each year. That agreement covers operations and maintenance, and the parties respectively shares of annual streetcar funding. Under the operating agreement, the city provides streetcar rolling stock, equipment, and management personnel. TriMet provides streetcar operating and maintenance personnel to the city, and the city pays their wages, but not their benefits. This resolution authorizes amendment number 15 to the streetcar operating agreement and provides for TriMet's FY 2025 contribution to the operating cost in the amount of $9.6 million. So Miles and Nancy, Miles Crumley is our manager of service performance analysis. He's going to provide some additional details.
Good morning, TriMet Board. As Sam said, I'm Miles Crumley. I'm here to present amendment number 15 to the Portland Streetcar Agreement. Next slide, please. Today, during my presentation, I will go over the master and operating agreement, the purpose of the agreement, the government structure around the agreement. I will summarize previous agreements and then talk about the variables that you will be voting on today.
Thank you.
Next slide. Portland Streetcar Agreement began in 2012. There are two documents that govern how we actually operate and manage this relationship. There's a master agreement, which is a policy level document, which talks about the coordination and decisions of the structure of the agreement. There's also an operating agreement, which is amended annually, which determines the service levels and staffing needed in order to support the service. It also has a financial methodology for determining the financial contribution of both TriMet and the City of Portland for operation of streetcar. On the screen is a map of the streetcar system. As a reminder, the NS Loop is the original streetcar loop running from South Waterfront to Northwest 23rd and Marshall. The second loop is the AB Loop, which runs both clockwise and counterclockwise, servicing Grand and Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and downtown Portland along Broadway. Along 10th and 11th. The purpose of the agreement supports both TriMet's and the city's goals. The TriMet is focused on mobility and ridership and transit-oriented development, wherein we provide operators and maintenance employees and financial contributions based on performance thresholds and targets for both the NS and AB lines. The city has goals focusing on growth and development and mobility within the central city, which is where the streetcar operates. They are responsible for the purchase, replacement, and maintenance of all capital assets related to streetcar, and they reimburse TriMet based on wages of the operators and maintenance personnel assigned. They also maintain a contract with Portland Streetcar, Inc., who is the operator of the service on behalf of the city. Streetcar supports Metro's 2040 growth concept for regional transportation, which means that streetcar provides circulation within the central city and connects to MAX and bus to provide easy transfers. Streetcar also supports development growth and housing to create more walkable and transit-supported areas. What this means is that the streetcar contributes to TriMet's frequent fixed route bus service and is considered part of our frequent service network. The way that we measure this is that we determine that streetcar has an operational cost that is either equal to or less than us providing TriMet fixed route frequent service bus. The governance structure within the master agreement is broken up into two parties. There's a permanent executive group, which has voting members from TriMet with Sam DeSue Jr. and Nancy Young Oliver, through the City of Portland, through the Portland Bureau of Transportation, being Mingus Maps and Millicent Williams, and through Portland Streetcar, Inc., their board chair, Dick Davis. They exercise joint authority over streetcar, and they will direct the streetcar planning group to take up certain items as directed. The streetcar planning group is made up of 5 voting members, myself and Jeff Rogers. From the Portland Bureau of Transportation, there's Rich Eisenhower and Art Pierce, and to Portland Streetcar, Inc. is Dan Bauer. We oversee the operating agreement, and we put together the amendments every year, which are then voted on at the permanent executive group prior to coming to you all to vote on. On the screen are amendment number 15, the variables and costs. For service lines, we will continue to provide funding for the service lines for both the NS and the AB loops. Currently, the funding level for the NS loop is at 85% of the total cost of operation. For for the NS loop. For the AB loop, the funding is at 61.67% based on their current measures and targets. In FY 2025, we will be reducing staff by 5 rail operators and 1 vehicle technician based on staffing that's available on TriMet's side, and both parties agreed that that was appropriate. In FY 25 and the budget that you just adopted, there is a budgetary increase of 4% for all personnel that are assigned to Streetcar. When we do the math in the background, just summarizing, for fiscal year 2025, the parties agreed that for the NS service line, we would operate 31,367 weekly vehicle hours. I'm sorry, those are annual vehicle hours, and 34,421 annual hours for the AB loop, for a total of 65,788. When we apply the proportional percentages of the 2 particular lines, it breaks out to 47,889 hours, which is what TriMet will be paying for. When we make the adjustments for the reductions of staff and the 4% wage increase, it adjusts the TriMet rate that we pay for services to $200.49 per hour. For the NS line, it comes out to a cost of $5.3 million, and for the AB loop, it's a cost of about $4.2 million. There is a shore-up process that we go through annually to make sure that the services that we are agreeing to are actually provided, giving us a net total of $9.6 million for FY 25.
Pause just for a minute.
Yes.
So I want to, if you can go back one slide, please. So I want to comment first. You see there's a line item regarding to be determined based on that reconciliation. And what that has to do with is specifically as you look at the fiscal years 23, 24, and 25, and you see the reduction in service hours, I don't want anyone to be alarmed. We actually did not cut the City of Portland service. For 23 and 24, we provided the 65,788 service hours each of those years. We did not provide the 74,000. We were not able to provide that level. So what we've done is that we've moved fiscal year 2025 to be in line with what we actually delivered in 23 and 24. When it comes to the reduction in staff, I also don't want you to be alarmed. We didn't take 5 rail operators from them. In the previous agreements, we had a certain level of operators that were included in there. However, we never provided those. So really the reduction in rail operators in this year is going from 54 down to 51. So we cut those operators by 3. However, with the cuts that we've made, they are taking no reduction in their service hours. We're just right-sizing everything. As part of our Vision 2030, we committed to looking at efficiencies, and part of that task is to look at our current contracts and making sure that we've got everything in alignment, that we're not overpaying, that we're not underpaying. And this is one of the contracts that service, and we realized, hey, we've been paying on service hours, almost 9,000 service hours that have never been delivered over the last number of years. This has resulted in the need for a reconciliation, which you see is noted as to be determined. We will be working directly with the City of Portland staff to determine that reconciliation. Once determined, whatever that reconciliation, the credit due to TriMet, it will be taken off of the fiscal year 2025 payments that we make to them. Thank you.
So how did we get here? In 2017 and 2018, through the operating agreements number 6 and 7, we moved away from the previous methodology and have a new methodology where we estimated direct and indirect costs for both TriMet and the City of Portland. What this did is that per Amendment 6, we set fixed city staffing and TriMet staffing and then determine a cost per hour for that particular service. In Amendment 6, the total cost of service was $11 million roughly, providing 73,000 annual vehicle hours. At the time, the NS loop was at a 73.3% share and the AB loop was at 50% because it was a brand new line. We determined the cost per hour to be $149.59. Again, applying the targets gives TriMet's contribution to be about $7.7 million. In Amendment 6, we also said that the only way that the cost per hour would change would either be to changes to wages of TriMet personnel or increases in working wage agreement hourly rates. And so if the composition of staff needed to operate the service changes, then we adjust the rate, as noted in the previous math. It also identified an annual shore-up process to make sure that when we do put forth the amount of service that we're purchasing, that annually we go back and verify how much service was provided and make adjustments. So again, now taking that same methodology to amendment number 15, again, we're paying for the 65,788 hours at $200.49, giving us $9.6 million as per amendment number 15. In exchange for this, the city will reimburse TriMet for operator maintenance and personnel wages, and the city will also agree that TriMet will retain urbanized area formula funds, state of good repair funds, and enhanced mobility, seniors, and individuals with disabilities funds. On the screen here is the same summary as I described before of the total cost for streetcar services. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Before we move to questions, I see General Manager has further comments, and we'll make time for a motion prior to discussion.
2 points. First, this resolution to enter into amendment number 15 must also be authorized by the Portland City Council. So with that, I recommend your approval.
Thank you, General Manager Dessou. Do we have a motion on the table to approve this resolution?
I move to approve. Kim?
Thank you, Director Kim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Way. Now I'd like to open up the floor for any discussion. Do we have comments or questions about this resolution? Director Frisbee.
I feel like I'm becoming a little predictable, and I'm sorry. Appreciate this. And Miles, it's nice to see you up here without beautiful charts attached to you. I was like, wait, Miles, where are the charts? Thank you both for your work. I just wanted to circle back on, and I appreciated your clarification, Nancy. Two things. You said that we have not been providing essentially we have not been providing the cost of the operators, those 5 operators for the last 2 years. I wanted to confirm that, is that due to inability to hire, like the same challenges that we've been having, or what has been?
So for clarification purposes, we've gone back and looked at the last 5 years and determined that we've paid for service hours that we haven't had the ability to deliver. The ability to deliver is based on, and part of the formula is the number of operators and the number of mechanics that we are providing. And we've never provided the level that had been included in those contracts to begin with. So again, I want to emphasize what fiscal year 2025 does is it right sizes it with reality. Here's how many service hours have been delivered for the last few years and how many we can commit to delivering in 2025. The reductions in staff, if you talk to Anessa, we brought her up here, what she would have liked to have done to maintain our service is actually take a bigger reduction. But TriMet is committed, and we see the value that the streetcar has. And we took a reduction that allows the streetcar to continue with the number of hours of service that we have delivered over the last couple of years. But it is definitely, the ability to have those operators available to run not only streetcar service, but TriMet service as well.
I do want to jump in just for one moment. Once we come back to pre-pandemic levels, we're going to go and take a look at whether or not we could put the employees back over there, to get to your point directly.
Thank you both. I appreciate that.
Thank you, and I wanted to lean into that a little bit, and you sort of started to answer it a little bit just now. But looking at service over time, is there anything baked into Forward Together at this time, or Vision 2030, that indicates there's a forecasted timeline around increasing service hours for the streetcar?
We do not have that included in Forward Together at this time. However, I do want to mention that the City of Portland has their expansion to Montgomery Park. We've all had the opportunity as the executive team to go and take a tour and go up in the building and see the sites and where that line is going to run. And we just had our PEG meeting where we demonstrated support for that expansion.
Thank you. Look forward to hearing more on that. At some point, it will impact our numbers and potentially an update to an IGA?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, I'd like to move us now into a vote. All of those in favor of approving resolution number 24-05-32, please do so now by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Now, I'd like the board to consider resolution number 24-05-33, authorizing a contract with Portland Mall Management Incorporated, PMMI, for cleaning, maintenance, and security services on the Portland Transit Mall and related streets. Mr. General Manager, your comments, please.
Thanks, President Gonzalez and members of the board. Since 2009, Portland Mall Management, Inc., or PMMI, has provided cleaning, maintenance, and security for the downtown Transit Mall. During that time, TriMet, the City of Portland, and the Portland Metro Chamber Clean and Safe program, along with PSU, have contributed to payment for PMMI's work. The largest financial contribution to PMMI for its service has been provided by TriMet, pursuant to several five-year sole source PMMI contracts. This resolution authorizes another five-year contract with PMMI through FY 2029. It authorizes TriMet to pay PMMI not more than $12.9 million over the FY 2025 to 2029 period for these services. I have the Manager of Service Performance and Analysis, Miles Crumley, here again to provide additional detail.
All right, so I'm now here to talk about the Portland Mall Management Incorporated.
Welcome back.
Thank you. All right, so what is Portland Mall Management? So PMMI is a nonprofit public and private partnership bringing together community stakeholders to collaborate on the Portland Transit Mall maintenance. Their main mission is to create and maintain a safe, clean and safe, pedestrian-oriented, community and business-friendly operating environment on the mall. On the screen here is a history of the Portland Transit Mall. In 1978, the original mall opens as the nation's first transit mall, dedicating one-way streets to transit, receiving international attention as a model. In 1994, the North Mall expansion took place, linking the mall with Union Station. In ensuing years, a lack of public and private stewardship resulted in neglect and deterioration in downtown Portland. In 2004, Council approved a local improvement district to fund part of the Portland Mall Revitalization Project. In 2006, Mall Management Group advised you to TriMet in the city, worked with Portland Mall Management to bring those designs into fruition. In 2007 to 2009, PMMI began to provide cleaning and security during construction of the new mall. From 2009 to present, Portland Mall Management continues to provide enhanced maintenance services on the Transit Mall and the Loop in downtown Portland. PMMI is backed by an intergovernment agreement between TriMet and the City of Portland, and it's renewed in five-year increments. One thing to note, you're voting on Amendment 5. It's because Amendment 2 was an amendment to add scope to PMMI, and so internally we had to do a count. So just to double check, yes, there's 4 five-year agreements, but one amendment, which brings us to 5 instead of 4. So where does PMMI fit within the picture? TriMet and the City of Portland have an intergovernment agreement over services that will be provided. TriMet then contracts with Portland Mall Management to deliver those services. Portland Mall Management then contracts with other parties to then provide those services to the region. This includes Central City Concerns Homeless to Self-Sufficiency Program, which trains and mentors formerly homeless or those that have barriers to employment with opportunities to re-enter into the workforce. For the budget that we'll be approving for FY25 and for the next five-year increments is an operating budget that is funded both through TriMet, Portland Bureau of Transportation, Portland State University, and Clean and Safe. For 24-25, the total PMMI budget is $2.5 million, where 80% of the funds are going towards cleaning and security. There's also an allotment to a major maintenance capital account funded by TriMet and the City of Portland, which funds things on the transit mall, such as the intersection brick pavers that you see in downtown Portland, the repaving of various of the 2 streets that we operate on, and other major maintenance as noted in our agreement with the City of Portland. The program funding for Portland Mall Management is here on the screen. Between the two parties, the city contributes $2 million into the total cost of services, and TriMet contributes another $2 million into enhanced services on the mall. We also receive funding from Clean and Safe in Portland State. Clean and Safe contributes about $82,000, and Portland State contributes about $189,000. And so in total, the budget comes out to $2.5 million. Through this agreement, after the authorization, we then have a separate agreement that I have with the City of Portland to receive the funding from the city as per our intergovernment agreement. And the city, they'll be voting on that, I believe, in early June. There are also some third-party contributions that are summarized to $271,414. Of this money, 52% of the funding is going towards cleaning of sidewalks and shelters, and the other 30% goes to security services on the mall. There's also additional allotments for public space activation, street trees and grade maintenance, sidewalk crow mitigation, and various landscaping on the mall. On the screen is the Portland Clean and Safe District, which intersects with the TriMet District. To be clear, we are paying for block faces along 5th and 6th Avenue and along the mall loop along Yamhill and Morrison and down on 1st Avenue where we operate service. And this year we actually went through and counted block faces, but it's literally the block faces that touch those streets is part of Portland Mall Management. On the screen is an example of some of the services that are provided. This is power washing down on the mall. You'll see people out, they're called barrel pushers. They're out pushing barrels and cleaning out various parts of the mall. The PMMI is supported by a board of directors, which is both private and public sector representatives. The City of Portland has a designee. The Mayor's Chief of Staff also has a designee, and TriMet has a designee, who's Jeremy Rayfeld, who sits on the PMMI board. To date, PMMI has had several accomplishments. They've done lots of infrastructure maintenance to intersection pavers, poles, benches, storm drains. We've maintained a very good relationship with Clean and Safe, ensuring that the mall and the Yamhill Morrison Loop are maintained to our standards. They also have crow abatement, which I'll have a picture here in a second. They also did a South Mall replanting project at the direction of Portland State. PBOT to basically replace planter beds on 5th and 6th Avenue near Market and Jefferson. They've converted one of TriMet's historic bus shelters on the mall at 5th and Salmon. It's now a coffee shop there, so feel free to stop by sometime. They also do public space activation in the form of monthly Mondays on the mall and holiday events through November and December. On the screen is an example of the intersection brick paver repairs that Portland Mall Management provides for TriMet. This is a picture of one of the crow abatement crews. They have a falcon that flies through downtown Portland to help remove crows off the mall. In 2024, the goals with Portland Mall Management is to help Portland recover. They'll continue to provide trash removal, graffiti removal, security presence, infrastructure maintenance, and public space activation downtown. An example of public space activation is Mondays on the malls, where we're bringing people into downtown Portland to visit the Transit Mall. Here's an example of sidewalk mitigation after the crows come through, and PMMI then comes afterwards to clean up the sidewalk. An example of shelter cleaning with the before and after. And lastly, graffiti cleanup. That is the end of my presentation. Any questions?
President Gonzalez, the contract is managed by our maintenance division, facilities management department, who's head up by Jeremy Rayfeld. I didn't know if you had any additional thoughts you wanted to add.
This contract is very important to TriMet and downtown Portland. With current staffing levels, we would never be able to provide the service that PMMI is currently giving the core of our city. So I strongly recommend approval.
And I'm just going to add to it, and your approval is recommended.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, General Manager Dessou. Before we move to discussion on this resolution, I'd like to see if there's a motion to approve the resolution on the table. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you, Director Wade. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. The resolution's been moved and seconded. So at this time, I'd like to open it up for discussion. Any comments or questions about this resolution before we move to a vote? Director Kim.
Thank you. In light of the testimony we've received this morning and the written testimony material, General Manager Dessou, would you be able to provide a few comments specifically regarding allegations around ethical gray area there, as we pride ourselves in all running our matters in a way to avoid any perceived ethical violations or actual. So I just wanted to really clarify what we're doing here and the history, all that to really point to dispel any fear or any confusion around this matter.
So 2 points. We had our legal division take a look at the letter that was sent to us. And also, we have here in the audience with us, we have Scott from PMMI. I don't know if you could come up and talk with us a little bit.
Oh, good.
Members of the board, thanks. I'm General Manager. Scott Robertson, I am the Operations Manager for Portland Mall Management. What I can say is that we've had multiple conversations with Ms. Davidson over the years. There is no overlap between what PMMI does and what Downtown Clean and Safe does. And what I can say is that we do both use the same subcontractors, Central City Concern for cleaning and now Garda World for security. That is actually a benefit to downtown because we're using the same subcontractors. We're able to coordinate better. We're able to help support each other as incidents come up downtown. So I can say that with the reporting that we provide to TriMet on a monthly basis and all of the invoice approval tracking we do, there is no blurring of lines as was suggested in the letter and the testimony.
Also, Director, just to let you know, Shelley and her team has looked at this as well and confirmed that statement.
Thank you very much, team.
Director Frisbee?
I appreciate that, Scott and Shelley's team. Thank you. I want to confirm, this is a one-year amendment, right, Miles? Extension?
Yes.
Okay. So we will next year have a 4-year contract, I assume, brought to us for approval again?
I want to go back. I thought this is a 5-year.
I'm sorry,
This
this
is-
is a 5-year.
This is the 5-year.
5 years.
Yeah, from FY 2025 through 2029.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I really appreciate the feedback from everyone. I will say, I have had long-term questions and have been involved in discussions around, particularly with Clean and Safe, funding from that program going towards just a very high overhead and administrative cost at the organization that administers it. And I want to make sure that to the extent that we are intersecting with that, we are being appropriate stewards of taxpayer dollars. I think I feel comfortable that these are separate enough, but should this come up in the future, I would love to be able to have some time to dig into that and better understand that.
I will say, I asked a question directly to staff about if TriMet took on this responsibility completely. So this cost of $12.9 million will double if TriMet operates this, just to let the board know.
And to be clear, my concerns are not around PMMI's overhead costs. It's around pass-throughs from the city to other organizations.
Okay, got it.
Could I add to that? So we do have an MOU with what was the Portland Business Alliance, is now the Portland Metro Chamber, for the services that they provide us, which is cleaning and security, and the services that we provide them. And it is very clear, and we'll have this approved by the PMMI board at our meeting at the end of June, but we only pay a 3% overhead for the cleaning and security services. I know that there's other services that organization provides that are much higher and have come under scrutiny. We have been able to cap ours at 3%, and we will keep it there.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Fellow board members? Okay. Thank you for those comments. You know, I first of all want to acknowledge the interest of fellow taxpayers in our region of ensuring that our money is well applied. We work hard for it, and it's very important that the public agencies understand that we feel that and that folks are watching. We're in interesting times right now in our region with regards to the stewardship of taxpayer dollars. We just had another election cycle pass yesterday where a few tax measures were on the ballot. I got some sleep, so I didn't hear how they fared yet. But something that's become very clear is, you know, there's high concern about how taxpayer dollars are allocated, how they're utilized. I think folks within our region are of high interest to ensure that that those taxpayer dollars are applied in a way that the community feels it. I really appreciate you coming today to address these concerns. One of the takeaways I get from this is, you know, folks are interested, folks are watching, and whether it's TriMet, City of Portland, or the Chamber, the day comes that inevitably we have to be able to shine a light and answer and defend our decisions before the public, especially if we ever expect to have their trust with future tax dollars as we continue to come to the public requesting their support for all these critical things. So I just wanted to point out my gratitude to fellow taxpayers, to fellow citizens that take their time and energy to look into these matters. It doesn't fall on deaf ears. And I think knowing that folks out there are interested in watching is part of what pushes us to do better and to make sure that everything that we do stands up to the smell test. So with that, I wanted to be grateful for us looking into these comments. I encourage us to ensure, as we look forward, as we just heard in the budget resolution, that we look for efficiencies. And I will acknowledge, I see a lot of opportunities in greater efficiencies with the way we operate with our IGA partners. As we want to be lifting up our bar of efficiency, of transparency, of resourcefulness to the taxpayer dollar, I want to make sure that we're leaning into those conversations with our IGA partners. You know, we are part of the ecosystem of the taxpayer dollar in our region, and I certainly wouldn't want any concerns about what City of Portland is doing with their dollars to trickle over into, you know, how TriMet is handling dollars with its IGA partner. So I think in that, to be proactive in that, I think it's important that we bring this message to our IGA partners and ensure that the parts of those dollars that we touch have the highest standard in the land, and that we're meeting our standard for how we're going to respond to taxpayers. So thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure that that's expressed on record, and that my gratitude for our fellow taxpayer citizens looking is also shared on record. Any other comments or questions from the board before we move to a vote on this? Well, again, once again, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate everyone's interest in these matters with regards to taxpayer dollars and public service. At this time, I'd like to now move us to a board. I see no other questions or comments, board vote, I mean. So for all of those in who would like to approve resolution number 24-05-33, please do so now by saying aye.
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 Aye. And all opposed? Any abstentions? Well, thank you very much. The motion carries. And now, I'd like to say this concludes the resolutions brought today for our formal business meeting. With all of those being our resolutions, thusly, we now conclude our formal business for today. I'm going to close the board meeting. And now I'd like to note that the board business meeting will be in June, will be on June 26th. And hopefully, that June board meeting will be at the debut of our new completed board meeting room at One Main Place at the TriMet headquarters. I am not 100% sure yet. We haven't gotten the green light. I'm not sure if we have our certificate of occupancy, but all signs are pointing to that we will be there. Stay tuned. I'd say Plan A. We will see you at One Main Place on June 26th, 2024. And with that, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.